Yep, it says recording.
Yep. Hi, everybody. My name's Ruth Sternberg. I am a career coach who helps you find your strengths and communicate them to employers so that you can get that job that you really want. And I am doing a series of conversations with professionals and job seekers and others who just want to help out to give you some advice about how to supercharge your job search, help things along a little bit. Because this period of isolation is not going to last, and there are going to be hundreds of people looking for work. And you don't want to get at the end of the line. You want to keep the train moving, even now. And today, I'm talking with Jeff Young, who many of you know as the LinkedIn Guru. Jeff gives a lot of free workshops all over the place about how to use LinkedIn the right way for networking. But right now you're totally online and still offering things, right, Jeff?
Absolutely, it still works.
So I wanted to just ask Jeff a little bit about the best ways to use LinkedIn if you're looking for a job. What are some of your thoughts about that, Jeff?
Well, first of all, namaste, and thank you very much
Namaste to you.
for setting this up. I appreciate it very much. Actually, you and I have talked about this before. What you do now is no different than what you should have been doing before. It's really the same process, and the process of utilizing social media, in this case LinkedIn, to find a job, I really normally break it down into kind of like three parts so that it's easy and it's kind of an approach. My approach has always been something that I illustrate by talking about 3 P's, okay? And the P's are profile, people, and participate. And briefly, just to give you some background, profile is your story. LinkedIn is so much different than a resume, because a resume is a very targeted vehicle, should be tailored each time, going at stuff. LinkedIn is a much broader perspective. LinkedIn is your marketing brochure, okay? Sometimes I illustrate your profile is, your resume is the steak, your LinkedIn is the sizzle, because LinkedIn is out there much more than your resume. It's out there 24/7, 365, and that's your story. It's your brand. You can build a brand with LinkedIn. So that's what your profile does. That's what you need to make it do, is shine as much as it can. And then once you've got a story that you're ready to talk about, then you start connecting with the second P, people. And that's what the second P, people, means, really connecting with people. It means building a network. It means, first of all, connecting with people that you already know, because those people are going to say yes when you ask them to connect, because they already know, like, and trust you anyway. So connect with those people first, but then connect with people that you need to know. And those people are the people that normally the people you already know will send you to, because you're constantly should be asking on LinkedIn or elsewhere, who should I know? Who should I talk to if I'm looking to do this? Okay, so that's where the second P comes in. And then the third P is participate. And there's a reason why that last P is the only verb among the 3. Profile, people, participate means actually doing something. Participating out on LinkedIn to engage with your network, talk to other people, talk to people who are not in your network, because I think you'd be amazed at how often I have conversations with people I don't know, or who are not just down the block from me, or I've never ever met face to face, or I get to do collaborations with, like this. I mean, I've done collaborations like these kind of interviews, Ruth, with people who are in the United Kingdom, with people, I just did one with somebody who was in Toronto, Canada.
Oh,
we
great.
just did an interview, and we just did an interview, and it was fun. It was helpful to her and helpful to those folks as well, the folks that she knows as well. That's what it's for. So engaging on LinkedIn is where the rubber really meets the road. Profile, put your story out there. People, connect with people so they can see your story, and participate so that you can actually get your story and make it live, make it real time, make it something that is a part of what you can illustrate to people as your real brand. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. There are even more specific ways, I think, that you can, once you understand those concepts and start to activate them, people ask questions like, okay, I understand, but what am I supposed to say if I'm reaching out to somebody, because it's awkward, you know? If you meet someone in a room, you can walk up and talk to them. But here, you know, not even seeing someone and just writing a note to them, you know, you don't want to look like, hi, I need a job, help me.
Oh,
I
no,
mean, you know, that's
absolutely.
not what you want to do. What's your advice about how to start a conversation?
Well, first of all, find your tribe. And what I'm talking about as far as the tribe is concerned is finding a post out there that interests you in the first place. Because if it interests you and you know something about it and that someone else is talking about, it makes it pretty easy for you to add your 2 cents worth. And that's what you're really doing. The difference is, though, it's not walking up to someone in a room, shaking hands and saying, hi, I'm, you know, as an introduction. You don't really need to do the introduction part as much as you need to just put your 2 cents worth into the conversation and add value with your own experience, with, or you know what, if it's something that interests you and you want to know more about it, it's as simple as, wow, that is really interesting. Can you tell me more? How about, you know, how about this? Would it work if I did this? Ask a question. That's just starting the conversation. And, you know, if that person is paying attention, if that person is networking and engaging, like, you know, we've just talked about that is important on LinkedIn, they'll respond to you. And another little trick that makes sure that they notice it, and we'll talk about this, is it, you know, I know the term on Facebook is tagging, okay? Well, LinkedIn doesn't, LinkedIn calls it tagging as well. Most people use the same kind of term, but LinkedIn has a special term for it. It's called @mentioning somebody. So if I actually respond to one of your comments on something or one of your posts on something, I'm going to @mention your name so that LinkedIn notifies you that I actually did comment on your post.
And
that
that's
will show.
literally using the @ sign
That is correct.
and start to type their name in and it will show on the screen.
That's correct. And you
And you
don't
just
have to be
click it.
connected with them.
Correct.
It's not about being connected with them. It's just about mentioning them so that they know that you actually said something. And a lot of times my comments are something about just thanking them for, that was a really great idea. You know, I may not add anything to the conversation myself other than to say thank you. And, you know, by the way, I've always said this in some of my seminars as well. If you're building a brand, the 2 really good words to start your brand with are thank you. If you get known as someone who thanks someone all the time and expresses gratitude, what's that phrase? They call it the attitude of gratitude. Okay. It really comes across that way. And so that you can actually do that in text tone, okay, and make people understand that you really are grateful for what they provided.
And the thing is, once you start having this conversation with someone, you can then say, hey, let's connect.
That's
Then you
exactly
become a
right.
first connection. Then you can take the conversation a little further. And I've also been saying, hey, look, you know, we're in this kind of self-quarantine situation, and it's been challenging personally and also professionally. And that makes a great conversation starter, you know, to say, I'm in this industry also, and these are the challenges we've been having. What's going on over at your place, you know? And as you progress through and get to know someone, you start to find out about opportunities. That's when you can start saying, you know, I noticed there's a role open over there. What have you heard about hiring? I mean,
Yes, exactly. Well,
right.
what you said before, the first words out of your mouth are not, hi, I'm Jeff Young. Can you find me a job? It's ridiculous. They can't find you a job. They don't know you. How can they find you a job? They don't even know what you need.
Well, it's a lot of pressure to put on someone too. Like, whoa,
Yes.
whoa, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that brings me back to you brought another thought to mind. As far as the process of connecting and the etiquette of connecting, okay, here's a couple of best practices as well. Okay, when you've had that conversation online, and then or you send something out in terms of, you know, wanting to connect with someone, okay, and they actually do connect with you. Well, first of all, you should send them an actual personalized note in order to connect. But it's really easy if you've already just continuing the conversation that, like we talked about before. But now, once you connect, here's what I've done in the past. If a person is local, I will send them a thank you for connecting message, because now you can send them a direct message, right? I'll say, thank you for connecting. And I'm sure I did this with you. Thank you for connecting. It was great of you to do that. Would you like to sit down for a cup of coffee and actually share backgrounds and get to know one another? That's what networking is about. Now, nowadays, okay, I use the second option. because I can't use the first option. I can't
Right.
actually physically meet with people. But I used the second option because if that person wasn't local, the first message that I would send to that person would have been, if you're in the United Kingdom, hi, thank you again for connecting. I would love to have a video chat with you at some point in time if we can maybe schedule something across the time zones.
People are really eager for connection right now. And, you know, people are afraid to ask, but the truth is, I personally have encountered very little no from anybody.
That's right.
If
Yeah.
you're interested in someone and what they're all about, of course, most people will respond positively to that. And I say, if someone does it, well, that's okay. You know, they probably are very shy people, maybe, or too busy. Don't take it personally. Just thank
No,
them and move on.
yep, exactly. That's the move on is the best thing that you can do because there's always another person out there. I mean, we've talked about this before. The possibilities are endless out on LinkedIn. There's only 675 million of your closest friends out there. It's amazing how many people you could connect with, and the world is your oyster. It's
Yeah,
something.
that's true.
Well, and one other thing about connecting before I forget, and I don't mention it, is obviously if you're in the job search, you don't say, thanks for connecting. Again, can you find me a job? But if you're not in a job search or you're an entrepreneur, you don't say, thanks for connecting. Would you like to buy my widget? Okay. I see this all the time. People are so peeved about people who will send them a thank you for connecting message, but it'll be sales pitch. Don't pitch people. Just ask to network with them. That's really what it's about.
Yeah, I like LinkedIn because I think I like the other platforms too, but LinkedIn, I think they work really hard at trying to keep the platform for what its intended use is, you know?
They do.
And of course, you know, from a financial perspective, they want to make money. So they're going to have people buy ads and do promotions and things because that's, you know, you pay for that.
Oh,
But
sure.
it's not, I don't find it overwhelming at all. You know, I find it's pretty good, you know?
Well, from that perspective, the people who do pay for LinkedIn are normally the people who are in sales or who are in recruiting, because that's how LinkedIn got its start, is really as a recruiting tool. So because it used to be one of those things where LinkedIn was, oh, if you're on LinkedIn, you're looking for a job. That's not true anymore. It's just not true. It hasn't been true for years. Okay. And the other thing is that in terms of what's out there, the being on LinkedIn is actually not frowned upon anymore. It's something that is a necessity for a person who's a professional who's going to do anything in the social media area.
Oh, there are companies and nonprofit organizations that want their employees to be on because they want to use it as a promotional opportunity for that business. You know, if you work for a nonprofit and there's some good work going on or a campaign or something, you know, they want people to help share that and do that work. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I know, from the standpoint of paying for it, I've been in the job search, and you have to watch your finances. So it's something that can be a little, you got to try to be a little bit more frugal. Let's just say. I wasn't going to use the word stingy, but you got to try to manage your finances a little bit better.
Right.
And from that standpoint, that's where LinkedIn comes in best, because I've always used LinkedIn as a free product. I've been on LinkedIn for 16 years now, and it's always been free for me. And the funny thing is, I see this as also a misconception of people. People ask me whether they should buy LinkedIn or not all the time. And I'm going, well, I got to ask you, would you paying money for it make you any better at it? And if the answer is, well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it might get me some more capability. Yeah, you're right. But if you never use those capabilities, you're never going to get your money's worth. And that's what I find from 95% of the people that I talk with, is that 95% of the people out there have not even scratched the surface of what they can do for free, much less what they could do when they would pay for it. So I just go free.
And full disclosure, since I'm posting this on LinkedIn, I do pay for a premium subscription.
Well, and you're in the business to do that.
Yes, there are capabilities that are really important if you're in professionally, right? So,
well, and again, the packages that normally get paid for are Sales Navigator, because that's sales related.
right.
The a recruiting package, because there's an actual LinkedIn recruiter package as well. And the other one, which I think is the one that you and I talked about, that you use, is something called a business package.
Right.
If you're a business, yeah, you probably would want to use LinkedIn, because being a business and having that extra capability is something that you will need to.
Right.
To.
But as a job seeker, I get that question. People ask me all the time, should I get premium? And I tell them, you need to research it and really see if it would be useful for you, and make a decision. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I'm just saying it's probably better if you don't, but I would never tell somebody, oh, go try it for free. I tell them, it's easy to find. You're going to find a link on any page you're on LinkedIn. It says try premium free for a month. Okay, we'll do that.
Sure.
It's okay. But you got to do two things. Okay, you got to, if you try LinkedIn Premium for free, you got to beat it up. You got to figure out what you're getting for your money. So don't just pay for it and then let it sit there for another month. That's just not going to work. Okay. And the second thing is, if you do what I just said, which is beat it up and really figure out what it gives you, the second one is 5 days before they actually charge you, if you really don't want this thing, then cancel it, for crying out, because LinkedIn will take your money. I mean, obviously they're in business.
Yes. Well, I'm a fan of LinkedIn. I truly, I find it extremely useful. And I always appreciate that they're trying to add things and trying to tweak things based on feedback that they get. So that's really great.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, one of the newest things, for example, that brings to mind something that people might want to take into account, is it's a section that's actually just below your about section now, because they separated the about section and the media with it. It's called a featured section.
Yes.
That's pretty neat.
And I'm using it. So
as a matter of fact, I'm using, if you already had media in your about section, it just separated it out and gave you that media in a featured section. But what you can do now, one of the interesting things that I've found now is that, this is actually giving me an opportunity to actually take those featured items and get a link to them totally separately. So as a matter of fact, if you notice my Friday post, I just posted it this morning.
Oh, look.
My post is I always do a Friday post that I call my Good News Friday. Well, I'm turning my Good News Friday into what I'm going to call Featured Friday. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to feature a new post every single week on Friday in my featured section, okay? But I'm going to put the link to it in the Featured Friday post and have people come to it and find somebody else's post. So as a matter of fact, the one I'm featuring this week is one that is the one about the interview that I did with the lady in Toronto.
Yes.
Where we had a 30-minute conversation. So it's great. And I actually have created a hashtag. Well, I don't know that I created it, because there were a couple of people following it before, but I figured it would be easy to put in a hashtag that would identify it, called Featured Friday. What a surprise. Okay. So I'm going to do that now once a week. It does a couple of things. First of all, it does what I'd like to do, which is feature someone else. Okay. I like to feature other people's, content. If this makes it out there, next week, then this might actually be Featured Friday next week. I'm not making any promises, but
please check on Friday for that. I'm sure there'll be something.
Yeah, I will. And so I'll put out that feature, and it does a couple of things. It features somebody else, but it also brings people to my featured stuff, which is a really good thing to do. And if you've never done anything with it before, if you don't have any, if you've already got some, all you got to do is go down to that section and click the edit button, okay, or the plus sign to add more.
That's
if you
right.
haven't done it before, there's this little thing at the top as you scrolling down your profile. There's add profile section. So you click that, pull down, and that's one of the things that's in there now, called featured. And featured allows you to add links, other posts, articles, and all kinds of, and videos for that matter, of all kinds of different media out there immediately, so that people can get a chance to see your stuff.
I think as a job seeker, you can really take advantage of that, because I have advised people who are in technical fields and even creative fields to start posting things on LinkedIn, to share their expertise, to show off what they have to offer an employer, and you can use that featured section to post some of your work product.
Absolutely.
If you just design something and you want to share it, or if you have an insight about something that you really want to share, you've been reading up in a journal on something and you just want to, you could do that, you
Yeah,
know?
doesn't even have to be your stuff, but it can be your stuff. I would, another word for featured section to me is your portfolio.
Right.
Okay? I mean, everybody's got one of these. They've got work products that they might like to share, as long as there's no non-disclosure agreement of any sort. But if it's something that you want to share with your network, it's the really nice thing about it is that posts are really great, but posts will go out on that home feed and they scroll away and they disappear. Okay, that they're only good for maybe 24 to 48 hours of getting some sort of response, because after that the algorithm says, it's been 2 days, you're done. Okay, but this other stuff is actually, I think the technical term is sticky.
All
Okay?
right.
Stays on your profile. That's a marketing term, sticky. Okay, so
Right.
it stays on your profile and it's right there for everybody to see.
So, you know, now that if you're in job search and you have a little bit of time now, implement some of these ideas and strategies. You might as well, because it's going to lead to something, I promise you, in some
Honestly,
direction.
I've had this conversation with lots of other people as well. Now that we're in lockdown mode, LinkedIn has always been important, but now that we're in lockdown mode, this piece of social media is even more important than it was before. I can't stress that enough. It's not going anywhere. It's been around 16 years. It's owned by Microsoft. Okay, it's a product that's going to be here for a while. So you might as well utilize it, because it can indeed help you.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Those were some terrific thoughts. Terrific. Namaste. Look in the post for information about how to reach either one of us with questions that you might have. We're both really eager to help you be a better LinkedIn user, and I'm here to answer questions that you might have about your job search. Don't be afraid, because you have skills. Trust me, someone needs them. You just got to make yourself known. So have a terrific day, everybody.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. And
Thank you, Jeff.
As I said before, the LinkedIn guru always does this, namaste. But guru actually means, if you see the word guru, just put in the word teacher, because that's what I love to do.
That's right. Namaste, Jeff.
Take care. Namaste.